Berserk, one of the most classic of the classic animes, released by Studio OLM in 1997. Although it has a lot of external factors going against it, it's still a great anime that you should check out if you're into some darker, medieval war action. Berserk follows the story of the mercenary Guts, also known as the Black Swordsman. He's a loner, wields a gigantic sword, and is an absolute monster in battle, with an equally brutal childhood that made him the antisocial fighter he is. One day, the wandering Guts meets Griffith, the charismatic leader of the Band of the Hawk, a mercenary group with a lot of skill and big aspirations. Griffith convinces Guts to join his group, and Guts becomes an integral part of this army, quickly rising through the ranks. However, it isn't long before personalities clash, fate intervenes, and Guts is dragged into a supernatural, Shakespearean tale of destiny, duty, friendship, and betrayal. Berserk is a story about war, class struggle, destiny, the supernatural, and exploring both the absolute best and worst of mankind. And this is all well portrayed through our protagonist. Guts is a man's man. He's got guts. I feel my testosterone building by just watching him go do manly things. Manlily. I love how Guts doesn't let his morality be swayed by others. He brutally kills 100 soldiers with little remorse, because he knows that it's either kill or be killed in this cruel world. In that way, he's the opposite of Dash from Trigun. However, Guts really does have a good heart. He just never learned how to express himself, and the anime is about his personal struggle to open up to people. I also like how Guts plays off our other main character, Griffith. Griffith is a foil to Guts, being suave and well-spoken, but he's also really similar to our man in a lot of ways. Both are young, talented, and brutally ambitious. With the exception of the female soldier Casca, the other characters are all rather simple. Not to put them down, but we really delve into Guts and Griffith, which is a good choice considering how interesting these two and their chemistry are. Oh yeah. No homosexual jokes, please, even if the anime really likes to play that up at the start.
I find you much to my liking. And so, now you belong to me, Guts. Would you care to join me for a Judging by the way you it seems you value more than your own life. You never yield an inch. I want you to me, Guts.
Overall, the story of Berserk is pretty compelling and well-paced. Although it may not be one of those shows you marathon, it was surprisingly unpredictable, and I never felt like I was wasting my time. It had a lot of shocking and unsettling moments, but some quiet moments of character development as well, where the writing really stood out by asking a lot of really interesting philosophical questions about the human condition. I especially liked the first 20 episodes or so, in that they were very well paced and you can actually tell what was going on, but in the last 6 or so episodes, a lot of really strange things starts to happen, the pace kind of picks up, and you really have to start paying attention, so be aware for that shift. Just know that Berserk follows the classic tragedy arc, a fall from the top and into despair. So the writing, story, and main characters are strong, but the show even has some subtle comic relief at times. If I had to describe Berserk bluntly, it's a really dark and gory anime with some really creepy and excessive imagery, plot events, and such. However, unlike Elfen Lied, which was excessive with the gore for the sake of it, Berserk is a lot smarter with how they use the red stuff, and it never felt too over the top until the very end. Because of this, it balances a kind of realism with the supernatural really well, never quite managing to fit into either of those categories. Whatever, it's a guy with a giant sword killing bad guys and monsters. What more do you require? I can't talk too much without giving anything away, but there is one major complaint against the anime story, and that is the ending. You see, Berserk is based off of a manga that's well over 350 chapters, and this anime only follows one major part of that story. In fact, it's not even clear where the first episode fits into it all. It's supposed to come afterwards, but then if it did come afterwards, it would contradict the ending. It's really confusing. I'm not saying that the show is rushed, but they had to leave a lot out, and it was a really bad cliffhanger. I mean, it finished at the peak of the peak. It's a really big dick move. A lot of people call it bait to make people read the manga, and it worked because I'm reading it right now, because it's much more interesting to see what happens, what they cut, and all that good stuff. The animation isn't that great in Berserk. I know it was still 1997, but I think it's kind of funny to see this many speed lines and other little efforts to save animation here and there. It clearly didn't bring down the experience, I just felt it could have been a lot better in a lot of areas. At least the character designs were really faithful to the manga, and some of the visuals later on were pretty interesting. The music is a lot stronger, with some strange instrumentation that may make Berserk seem kind of dated, but it's still a really solid soundtrack. The song Forces is so damn catchy and manly that my testicles may burst from testosterone overload whenever I hear it play. The voice acting was very good too. I can tell when some people doubled up with some of the minor characters, and some of the minor characters sounded like crap, but Guts, Griffith, and Casca all had amazing voice actors in my opinion, catching the personality of each character to a T. In conclusion, Berserk is a classic that you always hear people talk about for a good reason. It's a dramatic story with some compelling lead characters, and it'll keep you interested for its 25-episode run. And beyond that, if you want to look at the movies and manga, both of which expand the story and are highly recommended. It certainly has its flaws because of budgets and restraints, but it's still definitely worth watching if you're looking for a gothic, supernatural, medieval war drama, with a Shakespearean twist. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to risk testosterone overload once again. Thanks for watching. Walking back to when I grass, I'm fighting, I'm waiting so long.